Ever find yourself kind of racking your brain, wondering, is this person, actually into me, or are they just being friendly?
Yeah.
It's such a common dilemma.
It is.
And today we're doing a deep dive into that fascinating world of attraction. Specifically, we're focusing on the hidden signals that can actually tell you if a woman might be into you, even if she's trying to play it cool.
It is amazing how much we communicate
Right.
without even saying a word.
Yeah.
These subtle cues can be sometimes even more powerful than spoken language.
It's true.
Yeah.
It really is like a secret code.
Right.
Our deep dive today is inspired by a piece outlining 5 key indicators that a woman might be interested,
Okay.
even if she seems hesitant to show it.
Right.
Have you ever encountered these signs yourself
Absolutely.
and wondered, what do they really mean?
All the time. And it's really important to remember that, these signs aren't foolproof guarantees. Yeah.
Well, of course. Yeah.
Individual personalities and cultural contexts can influence how people express interest.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Right.
So let's start with the first sign.
Okay.
Attention. It's not simply about politeness, right? Like someone can be attentive just to be polite.
Genuine attention goes beyond just nodding and smiling.
Yeah.
It's about truly absorbing what you say,
Right.
remembering specific details, and asking insightful follow-up questions. It indicates that she's genuinely engaged and wants to delve deeper into your world.
Okay, so active listening is key, but how can you tell if it's more than just, courtesy?
Great question.
Someone might do that just to be polite.
Here's where things get interesting.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the consistency and depth of her engagement.
Okay.
Does she recall things you mentioned weeks ago? Does she bring up your hobbies or interests in subsequent conversations?
Right.
That recurring effort to connect with your passions is a much stronger signal.
It's almost as if she's planting little seeds, hoping they'll grow into a connection.
Exactly.
I remember the source mentioned an example where a woman casually brought up her love for mountains weeks after the guy mentioned enjoying hiking.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It shows she's not just passively listening, but actively seeking common ground and shared experiences.
Right.
This type of personalized attention reveals a deeper level of interest.
So attention is all about quality, consistency, and those personalized touches. But let's move on to another fascinating aspect of attraction.
Okay.
Body language.
Oh, yeah.
I've always been curious about the power of nonverbal cues.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about those?
Body language is a treasure trove of information, a silent language that speaks volumes about our true feelings.
Right.
It's fascinating how our bodies betray our emotions,
Yeah.
even when we try to conceal them.
Yeah.
When it comes to attraction, there's some key things to look for. For instance, have you noticed if she tends to lean in when you're speaking, as if she can't get close enough to absorb your words?
So that's not just me imagining things.
Well,
But couldn't that also just be a sign that she's trying to hear you better?
you're right to be cautious about jumping to conclusions.
Right.
That's why it's essential to consider the context and look for a cluster of signs.
Okay.
One intriguing aspect of body language is mirroring
Mirroring.
subconsciously.
Uh-huh.
We tend to mimic the postures and gestures of people we feel connected to.
Interesting.
It's a way of building rapport without even realizing it.
So if she subtly mirrors your body language, it suggests she's feeling that connection.
Yeah.
Okay, but what about those fleeting touches?
Oh.
Like a brush of the arm or a playful nudge?
Right.
Are those significant?
Those seemingly innocent touches can be incredibly revealing. They suggest a desire to break the touch barrier and establish a sense of physical intimacy.
It's almost like they're testing the waters, right?
Yeah.
Seeing how you react to that level of closeness.
Uh-huh.
This all feels so subtle, though.
It is.
How can someone be sure they're not misinterpreting these signs?
That's where paying attention to the overall pattern of behavior is crucial.
Right.
One instance of leaning in or a touch on the arm might not mean much on its own.
Right.
But if you consistently notice these behaviors, especially coupled with that genuine attention we discussed earlier,
Yeah.
it paints a much clearer picture.
It's like building a case, right?
Absolutely.
You're looking for those consistent patterns and clues,
Yeah.
not just one-off occurrences. So we've covered attention and body language. Let's move on to a tactic that's often associated with flirting.
Okay.
Playful teasing.
Right.
I've always been a little wary of teasing, though.
Yeah.
How can you tell if it's, flirty and fun,
Right.
or if it's just mean?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
Teasing can be a powerful tool for connection when done right.
Right.
But it's all about reading the nuances, first and foremost.
Yeah.
It should feel lighthearted and playful, never malicious or cutting.
Right.
Think of it as a way to create inside jokes.
Yeah.
A shared language of humor that strengthens your bond.
So it's less about making fun of someone
Exactly.
and more about finding humor in shared experiences or observations.
Exactly.
I see. So it's about finding that sweet spot between humor and genuine connection. But how does teasing relate to attraction specifically?
Well, think of it as a subtle way of testing the waters.
Okay.
By teasing you gently, she's gauging your sense of humor,
Right.
seeing if you can laugh at yourself, and determining if you have that playful, easygoing rapport.
Yeah.
That's essential for a romantic connection.
It's almost like a little test to see if you're on the same wavelength.
Precisely.
If you can take a joke and give it back in a fun way.
It's a way of building that playful banter
Yeah.
that's often the foundation of a strong connection.
Okay, so playful teasing, when done right, can be a great sign.
Right.
What about something a bit more straightforward,
Okay.
initiating contact? The source highlighted this as a key indicator of interest. Seems pretty obvious though, right?
You would think so.
Yeah, if she's the one reaching out, suggesting plans, texting first,
Right.
she's clearly interested.
But it's worth exploring why initiating contact is so significant,
Okay.
especially for women.
Yeah.
Societal norms often place the burden of initiation on men. So when a woman consistently reaches out first,
Right.
it shows a willingness to challenge those expectations
Right.
and actively pursue a connection with you.
That's a great point. It takes a certain level of confidence and courage to kind of go against the grain and make that first move.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It signals that she values your time and company enough to put herself out there. She's not waiting for you to make the first move.
Right.
She's taking charge and demonstrating her interest.
So it's not just about convenience or politeness.
Right.
It's a deliberate choice
Exactly.
that reflects a genuine desire to connect.
Now let's move on to our final sign,
Hey.
which might seem counterintuitive at first.
Okay.
Nervousness or shyness.
Oh, interesting.
We often associate confidence with attraction.
Yeah,
So how does nervousness fit into the equation?
that's what I was wondering. It seems like if someone is really into you,
Right.
they'd be more likely to be smooth and confident,
You would think.
not flustered and shy.
That's a common misconception.
Okay.
Think about it this way. When we're around someone we're attracted to, our senses are heightened.
Okay.
We become more self-conscious because we care deeply about making a good impression.
Right.
This heightened awareness can sometimes lead to nervousness,
Yeah.
even if we're typically confident individuals.
I can definitely relate to that. I remember reading in the source that fidgeting, blushing,
Yes.
even stumbling over words can be signs of nervousness caused by attraction.
Absolutely.
But how can you differentiate between someone being nervous because they're attracted to you
Right.
versus being nervous because they're simply uncomfortable?
That's where paying attention to those subtle shifts in behavior becomes crucial.
Okay,
Is she typically outgoing and chatty,
right.
but suddenly becomes quieter and more reserved around you?
Yeah.
Does she blush or fidget more than usual when you're nearby?
Mm-hmm.
Those departures from her baseline personality
Right.
can be telltale signs that you're having an impact on her.
So it's not just about the signs themselves,
Right.
but about noticing a change in her demeanor when she's around you.
Precisely.
It's those subtle shifts that reveal a heightened awareness of your presence, which often stems from attraction.
Yeah,
This is all so fascinating.
it is.
But with all these subtle signs and nuanced interpretations,
Mhm.
it can feel a bit overwhelming to decipher what's really going on.
It can.
Any advice on how our listener can navigate these complexities?
Yeah.
It can feel like a lot to process.
It's true. Deciphering these subtle signs
Right.
of attraction can be a bit like,
Yeah.
learning a new language.
Right. Yeah, but like learning any language, it gets easier with practice.
Absolutely. The more you pay attention to these nuances of
Mm.
communication, the more attuned you'll become.
So what's the key takeaway you'd like our listeners to remember from this deep dive
Okay.
into the world of hidden signals?
I think the most important thing
Yeah.
is to trust your instincts.
Okay.
We often overthink things,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to matters of the heart.
Yeah, we get stuck in our heads analyzing every little interaction.
Exactly. Sometimes the answer's right in front of us,
Right.
but we're too busy looking for hidden meanings to see it.
So step one is to kind of tune out the noise
Right.
and tap into that inner voice.
Exactly. Pay attention to your gut feelings.
Yeah.
If you sense a genuine connection, don't dismiss it.
But also don't be afraid to ask for clarification if you're unsure.
Absolutely.
Communication is key
Communication is crucial.
in any relationship.
And it can be as simple as saying, I've really enjoyed our conversations lately. Would you be open to grabbing coffee sometime?
Putting yourself out there can be daunting, but the rewards can be immense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is they're not interested.
Right.
But even then, you've gained valuable experience in expressing your feelings.
And who knows, you might just be pleasantly surprised by their response.
That's the beauty of taking a chance. You open yourself up to a world of possibilities.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what's the one piece of advice you'd leave our listener with?
I would say this: be present, be observant,
Okay.
and be courageous. Pay attention to those subtle cues.
Yeah.
Trust your intuition, and don't be afraid to express your interest. You never know where it might lead.
Beautifully said. It's been a pleasure exploring this fascinating topic with you.
Likewise.
To our listener, we encourage you to kind of embrace these newfound insights and navigate the world of attraction with confidence and a touch of playful curiosity.
Happy decoding.